In the ever-turbulent world of American politics, few stories have gripped the nation like the legal battles surrounding former President Donald Trump. A federal judge has just unsealed over 170 pages of evidence, exposing new details about how classified government materials ended up at Mar-a-Lago. These documents reignite fierce debate over accountability and the rule of law, revealing grand jury testimony, internal memos, and FBI photographs. The evidence paints a detailed picture of what happened at Trump's Florida residence, raising tough questions about the handling and possible concealment of national secrets. We'll break down the timeline, key allegations, and the evidence now laid bare, cutting through the noise to explain why this case still resonates so powerfully. This isn't just about one man, it's about the systems meant to protect our nation's most vital intelligence and the principle that no one is above the law. To truly grasp the stakes of this unprecedented legal saga, we need to follow the path these sensitive documents took, tracing their movement from the heart of American power to a private Florida estate. Let's retrace the journey of these highly classified and historically significant documents, understanding how they left the secure confines of the White House and ended up at Mar-a-Lago. In January 2021, as the Trump administration came to a close, dozens of boxes containing presidential records, personal notes, and classified materials were packed up and shipped from the White House to Mar-a-Lago. These boxes included sensitive information, some of which was never meant to leave secure government facilities. The National Archives, responsible for preserving presidential records, soon noticed that key documents were missing from their expected inventory. This realization set off a months-long effort, filled with letters and negotiations, to recover the missing materials. After repeated requests and significant delays, Trump's team finally returned 15 boxes in January 2022. But when officials examined the contents, they discovered 184 classified documents, some marked top secret, raising alarms about national security risks. This alarming discovery prompted the Department of Justice to launch a criminal investigation, seeking to determine how and why such sensitive materials had been mishandled. In May 2022, a federal grand jury issued a subpoena demanding the return of all remaining classified documents, escalating the legal pressure on Trump and his team. Trump's lawyers certified in June that all classified materials had been returned. However, the FBI uncovered evidence suggesting that more documents were still being withheld, casting doubt on those assurances. This led to an unprecedented FBI search of Mar-a-Lago. In August 2022, agents recovered over 100 additional classified documents, some stored in unsecured locations, deepening the controversy and public scrutiny. Special Counsel Jack Smith's investigation culminated in a historic indictment marking the first time a former president faced such charges related to classified information. But in a dramatic turn, Judge Aileen Cannon dismissed the case, ruling that the special counsel's appointment was unconstitutional, a decision that stunned legal experts and the public alike. The prosecution came to a halt, but the Department of Justice may still appeal, leaving the final outcome uncertain and the nation watching closely. The newly unsealed documents now provide a rare and detailed glimpse into the evidence that would have been presented at trial, revealing the depth and complexity of the case. These revelations expose the full scope of what was at stake, not just for one man, but for the integrity of the nation's most sensitive secrets and the rule of law itself. The unsealed documents outline, in striking detail, the steps taken behind closed doors, steps that prosecutors argue were not accidental, but part of a calculated plan. According to the government, these actions amounted to a deliberate effort to obstruct justice, going far beyond mere mishandling of paperwork. After receiving a federal subpoena, Trump allegedly instructed his aides to move boxes containing sensitive materials from a storage room to his private residence. This movement was captured on Mar-a-Lago's own surveillance cameras, providing prosecutors with a visual timeline of the events. Prosecutors claim this maneuver was designed to prevent Trump's own legal team from discovering all classified documents during a court-ordered search, effectively keeping key evidence out of reach. As a result, the certification submitted to the government, attesting that all classified materials had been returned, was knowingly false, a critical point in the obstruction case. The indictment further alleges that there were attempts to tamper with surveillance footage. An aide was reportedly asked about deleting security camera records, raising even more red flags for investigators. Although the footage was ultimately preserved, the very conversation about erasing it suggested a clear intent to cover up the movement of boxes and conceal the truth from authorities. These actions taken together form the backbone of the obstruction charges now facing the former president and his associates. Prosecutors argued that Trump was not only aware of the documents' existence, but actively took steps to hide them, misleading his own legal team and enlisting staff to help conceal crucial evidence from federal investigators. This narrative of intentional deceit and coordinated action elevated the case from a matter of mishandling records to allegations of a criminal conspiracy at the highest levels. The evidence, prosecutors say, paints a vivid picture of a former president actively working to defy a federal subpoena, challenging the very foundation of the rule of law. The stakes in this case were far higher than simple carelessness. They touched on the integrity of the justice system itself and the accountability of those in power. One of the most explosive revelations in the investigation centers on Trump's attorney, Evan Corcoran, whose role became unexpectedly pivotal. Corcoran, a seasoned lawyer, found himself at the heart of a legal and ethical storm that would test the boundaries of attorney-client privilege and the justice system itself. Normally, conversations between a client and their attorney are strictly protected by law, ensuring open and honest communication. However, the crime-fraud exception is a powerful legal tool that overrides this protection if it's believed that legal services are being used to further or conceal criminal activity. This rare exception is only invoked in the most serious circumstances. In a dramatic decision, Judge Beryl Howell ruled that the crime-fraud exception applied in this case, compelling Corcoran to break confidentiality and testify before a grand jury about his interactions with Trump. Corcoran's detailed notes and voice memos gave prosecutors a rare, behind-the-scenes look at the legal maneuvering inside Trump's team. These records offered an unfiltered account of what was happening as the investigation unfolded. His records describe Trump making gestures and suggestions that prosecutors interpreted as subtle, yet clear instructions to hide or withhold documents from investigators. In one particularly telling instance, Trump allegedly asked, "Wouldn't it be better if we just told them we don't have anything here?" A question that raised immediate red flags for Corcoran and the legal team. Prosecutors saw this as a direct suggestion to mislead investigators, interpreting it as an attempt to obstruct the ongoing federal probe. Corcoran's meticulous notes became central to the obstruction case, documenting not only Trump's words, but also Corcoran's growing concerns and his efforts to comply with the law, even as pressure mounted. The compelled testimony of a client's own lawyer is exceptionally rare in American legal history, underscoring the extraordinary gravity and seriousness of the allegations at hand. Corcoran's account provided prosecutors with a real-time, first-hand narrative of alleged manipulation, obstruction, and efforts to cover up the truth. His testimony pierced the veil of privilege, revealing the extraordinary nature of the case and the unprecedented legal challenges it presented. The evidence from Corcoran marked a dramatic turning point for prosecutors, giving them the leverage they needed to move the case forward. Ultimately, it highlighted the extraordinary lengths to which Trump allegedly went to obstruct justice, and the crucial role Corcoran played in bringing these actions to light. The unsealed documents include something even more powerful than testimony: FBI photographs. Images from the August 2022 search show boxes of classified documents in unsecured locations: a bathroom, a ballroom, an office. One photo shows classified cover sheets marked "Top Secret TGCI" spread on the floor next to personal items. Mar-a-Lago, a busy social club, lacked the security protocols required for such sensitive material. These photos made the risks and alleged negligence clear to the public, turning abstract legal arguments into undeniable visual evidence. The images became a symbol of the case's seriousness and the potential danger posed by mishandling national secrets. The content of the documents was even more alarming than their storage. The boxes contained information on U.S. and foreign defense capabilities, nuclear programs, and vulnerabilities to military attack. Some documents were so restricted that only a handful of top officials were authorized to know of their existence. One classified map was allegedly shown by Trump to passengers on his private plane, forming a separate Espionage Act charge. Many documents were marked "No Foreign," so sensitive they couldn't be shared with foreign allies. Storing such materials outside secure facilities posed grave risks to intelligence sources and national security. The potential harm was real, not hypothetical. These laws exist to protect the nation, not as bureaucratic hurdles. The unsealed evidence shows the materials at stake were of the highest importance. The seriousness of the alleged mishandling and obstruction cannot be overstated. The unsealed documents have reignited fierce political debate. Trump and his allies call the investigation a witch hunt, claiming presidential authority to declassify documents and dismissing the case as partisan lawfare. Supporters see the case's dismissal as proof of its illegitimacy, while critics argue the evidence confirms serious wrongdoing. Democrats demand full transparency, accusing the DOJ of selective disclosure, while the DOJ defends the legality of the release. The clash highlights deep polarization. For some, it's political persecution. For others, a crime and cover-up. The evidence ensures this battle will continue in the public arena. Though the legal case was dismissed, the unsealed evidence keeps the debate alive. The allegations of obstruction, shocking photographs, and a lawyer's compelled testimony have left a permanent mark on the public record. This case forces a national conversation about accountability, the rule of law, and trust in our leaders. The facts remain, regardless of the court's ruling or any future appeals. For many, the case has shaken trust in the system. For others, it's proof the system was weaponized. Ultimately, the unsealed documents leave Americans to weigh the evidence and decide what it means for justice and national security. The debate is now ours.